We need not strip ourselves of our culture in order to get to God, because God said to everyone, arise and let your light shine, for the glory of God is upon you. So I learned a lot about church and churchianity and God very early in my life. That's why I say I got that old Pentecostal preacher up here. But I also learned about nature and how nature moves and the essence and the energy of it, and how important it is for us to be in the flow and in the energy of nature. My grandmother taught me that, because she taught me when to pick herbs and when not to pick them. She told me, you don't cut your hair on the full moon, you cut it on the new moon. If you do, it won't grow back. I don't know if that's true or not. I just always cut my hair when she told me to. And then we had other members of our family. My stepmother was half Cuban and half Jamaican. Oh God. Dinner was a mess. We didn't know to fry the chicken, stew the chicken, curry the chicken. First we had to catch the chicken and wring its neck. So I grew up in a very diverse family, a very diverse environment, very diverse cultures, and somehow or another was able to blend them together. And it was only the religious institutions that told me that was wrong. It had to be Jesus, Jesus, nothing but Jesus. But when my grandmother was singing, Shon, 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 Shilayom, Nichiwa, Kansele, then she'd say, help me, Lord. She had no problem blending them together, and neither did I. Because God is everywhere, at all times, to all people. And God has something important for us to do. But my grandmother, bless her heart, wasn't one of the nicest people around. And I would suspect that after my mother passed, and my grandmother must have been maybe 40, 42, that she thought she was finished with child rearing. And here she ended up with me and my brother. I was 2, he was 5. He was very quiet and passive, possibly because he had chronic asthma, and I was a mess. I was like the terrible twos. If you open the dictionary to that page, you will see me. Never shut up, never stop moving, never stop asking questions. And I guess when you're 40-something years old and you end up with 2 children, when you think that your child rearing days are over, you would like them to be quiet. But I couldn't oblige that. I had too much that I wanted to know and too much that I wanted to ask. And she came from the old school, not just off the reservation, but then out of the South, where children are seen and not heard, and you don't ask questions, and particularly girls in the 50s. There wasn't a big intention and vision and picture for us, and I just wanted to do everything and be everything. So my grandmother told me, taught me, did her best to convince me that I was bad to the bone. There was something wrong with me. I had the devil in me, and she felt obliged to beat him out. And she found many very creative ways to beat him out of me. Didn't work, but she tried, bless her heart. When the ironing cord didn't work, she went to the extension cord. When the extension cord didn't work, she went to the razor strap. And when the razor strap didn't work, she had the trusty old switch that I used to have to go outside and pick and skin. And it would have to whistle and have some flexibility, and she would use that to discipline me. And one would think that was a very cruel and harsh beginning, but all things are lessons that God would have us learn. And everybody in the family knew that my grandmother was mean as a wet cat and crazy as the day is long. And so they stayed out of her way. But they would give me knowing little glances and hugs when she wasn't looking. And so everybody knew what was going on. And nobody did anything about it until God said, arise and shine, for your light has come. I was 5 years old. And I was so excited because I was getting ready to go to kindergarten. My brother went to school, and he had one of those composition books that he could write in a big fat pencil. I wanted one of my own. So it was time for me to go to kindergarten, and my grandmother worked as a domestic. She cooked and cleaned for very wealthy people in upstate New York. So when it was time for me to go to school, my father, I don't know how he did it, introduced us to his wife, my stepmother. She agreed to come and take me school shopping. And this particular day, she came to take me school shopping, and she said that I had a slight odor. You know how kids run and sweat and they don't always smell pretty. So she took me in the bathroom to wash me up a little bit, and when she took my t-shirt off, she took all the skin off my back. You see, my grandmother had beat me with the switch because I opened the door for Mr. Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher was the insurance man, and he used to come around to collect insurance money. And one day when my grandmother wasn't home, I let him in. I really wasn't interested in him giving him the insurance money. He used to give us lollipops. And when he knocked on that door, I knew on the other side of that door was a potential lollipop. And even though I knew I wasn't supposed to open the door, I did. And when Grandma heard about it, she beat me with the switch and left welts and wounds on my back and didn't tend to them. So my t-shirt stuck to it. And my stepmother removed it, trying to dress me for kindergarten. And all things are lessons that God would have us learn. Fast forward, I'm now a teenager, sick and tired of the Pentecostal church because I went to a church where everything was a sin. Everything! Did I mention everything was a sin? Looking to the left, sin! Looking to the right, sin! That's sinful! We couldn't wear pants, no makeup, no lipstick. And to this very day, I still don't understand the purpose of that little doily pinned in the top of the head. I really don't understand that. Nail polish was out, everything was out, everything. So when I turned 13 and I didn't live with my grandmother anymore, I decided that I was going to do my very best to commit every sin possible between the ages of 13 and 14. I gave it a real good shot. I had to cuss. I had to paint every fingernail a different color. I had to be disobedient. I had to dishonor my parents and dishonor God, and most of all, dishonor myself. Because when all we're taught about discipline is that it's punishment, we don't develop the discipline in our hearts and our minds that we need to grow ourselves up in a healthy way. Oh, I was a mess. Did I tell you? If you looked in the dictionary under mess, there would be my picture. So by the time I was 21, I had 2 husbands and 3 children, 2 suicide attempts, and absolutely no vision. And God was still saying to me, arise and shine, for your light has come. It doesn't matter where we come from, what we do, how we do it. There comes a moment, that moment, it's a snap second that'll change your life forever, and in that moment, your light comes. I was 21 years old. 21 years old with 3 children in a violently abusive marriage. Violently abusive. And I was sleeping. And someone, some grace woke me up from my sleep and said, leave here now. If you don't leave here, he's going to kill you or maim you so that you won't be good for yourself or your children. Leave now. Well, you know, I know that they do give medication for the hearing of voices, but this was not a voice I wanted to be medicated against. So I got up, 3 o'clock in the morning. I had a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old. I got one garbage bag, one trash bag, and I put clothes in there. Each child had one and I had one, and that's all we had. And I carried the 2-year-old, dragged the 4-year-old, and pushed the 7-year-old 3 blocks from my house to the train station, and got there and said, "Holy spit, I don't have any money. I don't have any money to get on the subway." Now, do I go back and run the risk of this man killing me? Do I just sit here till, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning when people start going to work and hopefully somebody will give me a token or money, or couldn't call anybody? This was pre-cell phone. This is phone on the corner for a nickel, okay? I just want y'all to understand the profundity of what I'm saying to you. And I sat there on those stairs in the train station, shaking my head. And out of nowhere, literally, gorgeous young man started coming down the stairs. And I'm wondering to myself now, where did he come from? Because no train has come. And he came down the stairs, in addition to which I lived in a predominantly African-American community, and this was a lovely white man at 3 o'clock in the morning, okay? So he either had a black girlfriend or he knew somebody. But it was nobody but him. And he came down the stairs, and just as he got to me, he turned to me and he said, "What do you need?" Isn't it amazing? And I said, "A cigarette and a token." I smoked at the time. Sue me. Now, why didn't I ask for a whole pack of cigarettes? Why didn't I ask for $5? Car fare was only 50 cents. Why? When we have the opportunity, we ask for the minimal, in the need, rather than the contingency of the possibility forever. 1 cigarette and 1 token. And that's what he gave me. Traps. And he walked away, and I realized that I hadn't said thank you to him. And when I turned to say thank you to him, he was gone. I need you. You need me. We're all a part of God's body. And there are angels everywhere waiting to serve us.